Hello everyone and welcome back to The Sims 4 where we are continuing to work on making our Wolfquest legacy. And we are here with Katari and Terrell for now, but we're actually going to be moving on because last time we finished creating all of their pups. So we have all 4 litters of their pups set up, and today we're actually going to be working with Kaya. So I have her here as we created her as a pup, I think 2 episodes back. And we're going to go ahead and age her up to an adult and start working on creating Courage and then creating her pups as well, or their pups as well. So let's go ahead and we're actually going to remove all of these guys because we're not going to be working with them today. And we're actually going to be working, okay, there's Kaya, and we're actually going to be working with Kaya. So let's go ahead and we'll move Rico as well. And let's age Kaya up to an adult. So here she is, and we're going to go ahead and change her eye color. I think she has, if I can see right here, I don't have a very good eye reference. I think she has, I think this is a good eye color for her. And she does have this flopped over ear because she was attacked by a druid wolf when she was young. And so she took some injury to her ear, and you can see she also has that scar on her face as well. But this is actually fairly close to how she looks in game. It's a pretty good replication of how she looks, so I think we're not going to do too much with her here. I think we're going to keep her pretty much as she is. Overall, I think this looks pretty good. We'll maybe give her a little bit more dimension there and not make her quite so lean, because she is a pretty lean wolf, but she's also kind of fluffy, so we don't want her to be super duper super skinny. But we're gonna go ahead and also add in another dog here, but not to stay a dog, to eventually become a wolf. And this is a pretty cool looking dog, but not quite what we're looking for. So we're gonna go ahead, and I think what I'll do is I'll take breed mixer, and for Courage, I'm gonna use an Akita, because Akitas are fairly large and well built, and I feel like Courage is a fairly large and fairly well muscled wolf. And I think let's try Dingo and just see. That's probably, oh no, I should have kept Akita up here. I clicked the wrong thing. That's probably not going to work so well. So let's switch over here. And where do we have Dingo? Right here. I don't think that's going to work too well. Actually, if we change out the ears, then this might work. Let's see, I want to check on the head, and no, we don't, he doesn't have a floppy ear. But what if we make them a little bit more upright and a little bit bigger? This actually could be pretty good. He has a very wide muzzle, and I like that because I feel like he does have a fairly large muzzle. And maybe we'll make it just a little bit more sloped here, and maybe we'll work with the head. And can we make it a little bit less steep there? We can move, we can make the muzzle a little bit bigger. There we go. That's, I think, gonna be pretty good. And then what we'll do is we'll actually go in here and we'll edit the coat color, and we're just gonna use pure black, I think, maybe. Maybe not quite like that. Well, actually, if we make this a little bit more gray, some very light silvering, possibly. I think that would be even lighter. Some very, very pale silvering, I think, is good. And let's see, what are these? That's, okay, that's the main body. We're going to keep that black. This is, there's some patches there. Wonder if we made it, well, I'm going to keep that there, and then, nope, what about this? What exactly does this do? That adds on to the back. That's interesting marks on the face there. I don't know that I've noticed those before. I think we'll keep him pretty dark here. Maybe we will take this and make it a little bit lighter, possibly? No, maybe not. Is there actually, what if we did something like this and made this darker and darker, and what would this do? That's kind of, I kind of like having a little bit of brownishness there. And then if we made this underside a little bit darker, that's a little too brown. Let's make this darker. And this can go darker as well. I don't actually really like that sort of darkness though. Let's put these both here. And then that'll give him a little bit of extra brown coloration in his fur, and he does have a little bit of that. And I think that'll look pretty good for the most part. Let's go ahead and change his nose color as well, because he does have a black nose. And so we'll change his nose color there. And then he has, I believe, a little bit lighter colored eyes. This is a really cool color. That's what we use for Kaya. I think he has some lighter eyes there. Yeah, I think so. We'll make his eyes a little bit bigger and maybe move them slightly upward more. And I think for the most part, that looks pretty good. I think that's a pretty good look for Courage. So let's go ahead and get his info in. He is going to be a wolf. And we'll go ahead and put his name as Courage. Oop, here we go. If I can spell. There we go. And as for his traits, he's definitely loyal. Not that that applies quite in the same way as it would show up. It applies more to the Sims, but I think that's a fairly good trait. He was pretty friendly. He was definitely a lot more outgoing than Kaya ever was. And I'm gonna go ahead and say adventurous. Playful is another good one, because I do feel like he was a lot more laid back than Kaya. Kaya is much more skittish. She actually has the jumpy trait, and she has loyal as well, and she's also a hunter. But definitely, we definitely hear Courage was a lot more bold than Kaya was. He definitely lives a bit to his name. And she is definitely a lot more on the laid back side, and oop, he's supposed to be male. And we don't have to set a relationship because there's not a mate's relationship in this. But I'm gonna deepen his bark. I think that's a pretty good bark for him. Again, wolves don't really bark except to warn their pack of danger. They don't bark in the same way that dogs do. But nevertheless, I think this is a pretty good start here. So we're going to go ahead and keep this for Courage's look, and then I'm actually going to save this, and then we'll start on our first litter of puppies here. So give me a moment and I will go ahead and save. And here we go. So I've gotten these guys saved, and you'll be able to download them separately if you'd like, but we're also going to work on creating some of their pups. Now, Kaya and Courage actually had the least pups out of any of our wolves. They only had 12 as opposed to the normal 16, because unfortunately Kaya's story was cut short. She was severely injured by a bear on the way to the rendezvous site, and I'll include a link to that if you want to check that out in the video. I'll include a link to that part of the story. But she was severely injured by a bear on the way to the rendezvous site, and while she was able to help her pups make it there safely, she was in no condition to be able to go on and raise a fourth litter. So we moved immediately into the third season, or immediately into the next set of wolves, because she wasn't able to raise a fourth litter. She was just too weakened from her injuries, and Courage wouldn't have been able to do it alone. So she only had 12 pups, and so that means we will be making these 3 litters and doing our best to get those done. So let's go ahead and right off the bat, we'll jump in and start playing with genetics. And that's a pretty cool start, but we want to make sure that we get Courage in there as the father. And I don't think it doesn't matter as the gender just yet, because we can change it, I think. So we'll just stick with this. A lot of their pups were very dark in color, and some of them were more brown versus gray, and that looks a lot like Courage does, and I think we'll go ahead and keep this, and this will be, let's make sure we confirm. We'll go ahead and save, and we'll go ahead and make this as our start for Tapio. Now, Tapio is one of the pups from the first litter, and he was a pretty dark colored wolf. We will go ahead and change his eyes because we do put them all to light blue, because wolf pups do have blue eyes. And I think he was a little bit more, I'm trying to remember his traits now. Let's adjust his bark. That sounds pretty good, and we'll make sure we set his gender properly. And the relationships are set properly as well. And let's see here. I think as for his traits, I think he was one of those pups who didn't stand out quite as much as some of the others do. There are some we're going to get to who definitely have some very distinct traits, But as for Tapio, I don't think he had quite as many distinctive characteristics. I think he was pretty friendly, probably kind of like his father. I imagine he was playful, as most wolf puppies are. And we'll go ahead and give him the hunter trait, because again, that's a fairly standard one. And I think you guys would have to go and check the new updates. I think Wolfquest just actually announced a thing about their pups, and I'm pretty sure in the Wolfquest 3 update, the pups will actually be having actual personality traits, so it won't kind of be left up to randomness as much as they'll actually have distinct characteristics. I'll have to include a link to that as well, and you guys can go take a look at the video. I'm pretty sure they did say that in the announcement, though, so you guys definitely want to take a look at that. If you're not subscribed to Wolfquest channel, go check it out, because they post some pretty cool update videos, and Wolfquest 3 looks like it's going to be pretty darn amazing. So definitely go check that out if you have the chance. Make sure to subscribe to their channel, because then you'll get the most recent updates as they come out. So we're going to go ahead and keep that for Tapio, and we'll also go to randomized genetics again. We want to make sure that we're working with Kaya and Courage, because it will glitch out otherwise. There we go. And they didn't really have any light colored pups. They had some brown colored pups, but they were all a little bit darker. And we're just gonna see, again, this is very similar to Courage. These seem to be kind of repeating a little bit. We're gonna see if we can get anything especially unique, but I think we might go with this. And I think we'll go ahead and use this as a base. And I will darken up some of the colors, so let's see. This, I think, we'll go ahead and make black. What about this? Pretty dark in coloration as well. And this reflects the pups' coats, so they might have changed color a little bit as they got older. They may have lightened up or darkened up a little bit, but for the most part, I tried to keep them fairly similar. Some of them were more drastic than others, but we'll be creating them as pups here. And if we do go on to create any of them as adults, then we'll adjust their colors and their looks accordingly. But for now, we're going to keep them much like this. So we're going to go ahead and we'll actually go ahead and... Oh, I didn't actually accept. Okay, let's go ahead and change gender, because this is going to be Surobi. She was another one of the pups from the first litter, and her relationships are all set properly, so that's good. She was pretty dark in color, and let's see, I'm going to give her a higher pitched bark, I think, and she is female. And as for her traits, I think she may have been I don't remember if she was more adventurous or not. I don't actually remember very much. I think she was a little bit... she may have been one of the calmer ones. I think we're going to give her some more generic ones as well, so I think we'll go ahead and give her... This is kind of... I call this Curious. It's technically called Sleuth, but it basically works out to Curious. We'll give her Hunter, and we'll give her Friendly, because I think she was, again, a little bit more middle of the road. It's interesting because some pups do tend to stand out more than others, and so it can be hard to come up with personalities for them sometimes. But let's see here, and all the relationships are set properly, so I think that's going to be good for Surobi. And we'll go ahead and play with genetics again. We're going to go to Kaya here. We're going to create her child with Courage, and that is really cute. I don't think any of them have the flopped over ear right from the start, though. I think we'll go ahead and keep this look, because this is pretty similar to how Hope looked, but we will adjust some of the looks and make her a little bit lighter in coloration, because I think... Alright, that's going to stay dark. We'll maybe put that... No, we'll put that here. This we'll keep here, and this can maybe get a little bit lighter. Maybe not quite there. That's a little too light. This maybe we'll put to this one. Yeah, that's pretty good. And we'll go ahead and put her ear back to... I'll give her the... No, let me click on that, please. I'll go ahead and give her normal ears here, because I think they're going to be... I don't think she had one flopped over. We'll make sure her eyes are blue as well, because again, wolf pups do have blue eyes that then change as they get older. And this is going to be Hope. So again, she was pretty dark in color. And we'll go ahead and give her her traits. I think she may have been a little bit reserved, a little more reserved, so maybe we'll give her the independent trait. And then I think Hunter's probably a good one. And maybe playful, because I do remember her being a little bit more independent, I think, and a little bit more reserved, perhaps. And as for her bark, I think that sounds pretty good. So we'll go ahead and keep that. We're going to see a lot of the darker colored ones, especially the darker colored wolf pups, especially in the beginning here, because a lot of them did get Courage's darker coat. And I think wolf pups do tend to start out a little bit darker in many cases, and then their coat does change as they get older somewhat. So let's see, we'll go ahead and play with genetics again. And that's actually pretty cool, but we're going to go ahead and create a child with courage. And then, again, a little bit of the lighter coloration. And we're going to definitely go for more brown with this. That's pretty cool. That's like a mini version of Kaya almost. Complete with the scar and all. We should make sure that none of them inherited the scar because that is specific to Kaya. It seems like they can inherit one parent's coat exactly then. So what I think we'll do is we'll keep Kaya's coat, and what we'll do then is we'll remove that because that was where the scar came from. And let's go ahead and accept, by the way. We'll accept there, and then none of these guys got the scar, right? No, they didn't. And Hope's gender is set correctly. Everybody's gender seems to be set correctly. There we go. And I'm going to give... This is going to be Kunta. So we're going to give Kunta a bit of a higher pitched bark. And all the relationships seem to be set correctly, so that's good. And then he was more brown in coloration. So we're going to make this... We'll keep that as black. We'll put this here... This will probably be here as well, and then this is definitely going to be a little bit lighter in coloration, and then, yeah, maybe something like that, and then possibly this a little bit darker. Maybe. This could be here. Maybe both of these could go here. Yeah, we'll go ahead and do that, and what if I start changing this? We'll give him a little bit of brown on the back as well. Maybe just like that to kind of distinguish his fur color a little bit, because he was a little bit more on the brown spectrum. He got some of that brown that Kaya has mixed into her coat. And again, we'll set the eyes to blue just because they're puppies. And we'll go ahead and take a look here. I like that for the bark. And I think as far as traits go, we'll go ahead and set... I think Kunta was more on the adventurous side. I'm pretty sure he was playful, and I think he was friendly. Those are all fairly common traits for wolf pups, and so I think we're pretty safe with those. And I think that's going to go ahead and be Kunta. So we've now created Kaya and Courage and their first litter. So here's how all of them look. Here's Kaya for you. She has her scar. She's a little bit of a smaller built wolf. She's not super huge or anything. And then here is Courage, who's a lot bigger and a lot better built, or a lot more well-built. Kaya is much more of a speed and agility wolf, whereas Courage is more of a strength and stamina wolf. And so he's a little bit bigger, and of course he has that darker fur that we've actually seen passed down quite a bit through the generations. It was dominant in the Galaxy Pack and then continued down even into the descendants of them. And we also have Tapio, who kept that darker coloration. Most of the pups in the first litter did, but I think we started to see some more variation a little later on. Sorobi, again, a little bit darker. Not quite as dark as the others, but still pretty dark. And then Hope, who's also quite dark in color. And oh, let me go back and go over their traits as well. And Kunta, who's a little bit more on the brown side. So Kaya is jumpy, loyal, and a hunter. Courage is loyal, friendly, and adventurous. Tapio is friendly, playful, and a hunter. And I try to give them some combination of their parents' traits in many cases too. Sorobi is a sleuth, or curious basically, a hunter, and friendly. Hope is independent, hunter, and playful. And last but not least, Kunta is adventurous, playful, and friendly. So they all got, I think they all have the friendly trait actually, all the pups, except for Hope. Most of them have the friendly trait though, so they were a pretty well-rounded litter of wolf pups. None of them really seemed to go too much to the extreme, but we're definitely going to be dealing with some pups who had much more personality and displayed a lot more of the extremes of the personality scale as we get further along in this. So yeah, we're started off with the second generation now, and we're going to continue on until we have as many of the wolves from our Wolfquest series as we can get. So we're going to go ahead and wrap up this episode here for today though, because I don't think we have time to get in another litter this time. We'll see if we can get in at least 1 or 2 next time though. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed the episode. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time. But until then, this is Jay, over and out.